we said that, that was the first horror film of 2020. Right, so funny experience. The following day, I was at Sony. I was talking to my friend Charlotte from the Evening Standard, and we were saying, what expectations for this? It's The Grudge, the Grudge, after all these years, what were we expecting? And my sarcastic response was, well, at least we know it's not the worst horror film we'll see this week, because we'd already seen The Turning. I will admit this comes close.
Okay, so The Grudge, I just said to you before we got in the studio today, I said, I really love the original. And you're like, I love how you're calling the Sarah Michelle Gellar one the original. And I was like, well, it's the original that I've seen. I have not seen the original.
Actually, weirdly, that was one of the few J-horror remakes that was actually, I think probably the only one, that was actually directed by the guy who had directed the original.
Yeah.
Because I think he did one of the sequels and then flew to the US straight away.
It also has a very special place in my heart because it's the first date that I ever went on with my husband was to go and watch The Grudge.
And you've been holding a grudge all these years.
I've been holding a grudge ever since. But yeah, I thought that those Grudge movies of the time were great horror movies.
Well, this is meant to be sort of a sidequel, a sort of spin-off of them.
Yeah.
As in, same thing, different day.
Okay.
This takes place in multiple time periods, as the Grudge movies tend to do. It's non-linear, it's chopped all around the case. You've got different casts in different time periods. Here, those casts include, on the one portion, Demian Bashir and, Andrea Riseborough. I almost said Charlotte Rampling for some reason. Andrea Riseborough. Yeah, I know.
She makes very interesting decisions. This is not one of the better ones.
The other part, you've got John Cho. In another bit, you've got Lin Shaye. And it is about this house with the iconic Ju-on curse that will, bring about terrible things amongst anyone who steps within it, all of which kicks off with a murder investigation between new partners Demian Bashir and Andrea Riseborough.
Why did it take so long to find her?
Well, this here's a service road. They only just started using it for the season.
Anyone come looking for her?
That's just it. The feds, they're already looking for her. Turns out she's one of those assisted suicide broads.
Find anything on her?
Usual stuff. I got an address, though. Directions in the glove box. 44 Rayburn Drive. Same place as the Landers case. Looks like we got another one.
So it's very wannabe True Detective in the early portions, as you can hear from that little.
I wonder if this was actually massively mispitched.
I cannot figure out for the life of me what anybody involved in this film was thinking. There is a moment very early on in which Demian Bashir and Andrea Riseborough are introduced for the first time. Demian Bashir walks into a room and says, "Who's that?" And the answer he gets is, "Oh, that's Officer So-and-so. She just moved here. Her husband died after a prolonged battle with cancer that lasted several years, and she's now a single mum struggling to cope." And you're like, you couldn't have just said that was so-and-so. Like, is there a need for this level of everybody?
Explanation.
Yeah, everybody speaks in exposition. And then you've got the time-jumping element that comes with all these movies, which is hard to get a handle around normally.
Yeah.
But when you're bored, it's even more difficult. You've then got the same exact jump scare that's just recycled like 6,000 times. I mean, if you're being literal about it, probably a good 40 times the same exact jump scare happens, which incidentally was done way better in the movie Lights Out, if we're being direct about that as well. It's not particularly interestingly shot. It's Nicolas Pesce, who's come up doing things like was The Eyes of My Mother, which I thought was quite an interesting horror film. This is infinitely less interesting. Okay. It's still got Sam Raimi attached to it as a producer because it comes to Ghost House.
They need some sort of name to get it boosted.
And that's it. And you do think that there's just a wasted cast in here. I came out of it thinking, really, zero thumbs, because I was in no point interested in this movie.
Do you know what? I haven't seen any marketing about it. I haven't seen any sort of, there's nothing to promote it out there.
It's had the life beaten out of the US, to be honest, ahead of reaching us. I think it reached the US kind of at the very beginning of the year.
Okay.
And we're a fortnight behind. There's a moment in this movie in which, I forget her name, Oscar-nominated actress in the last few years, just says with complete seriousness, "Oh my God, I think your house is haunted." And she does it as if she's giving them new information. And genuinely, you have never heard an entire room full of critics erupt into laughter so quickly.
Never a good sign.
Yeah, and not like the fun kind, like when we saw The Prodigy that time about the evil child, and someone said reincarnation explains everything, and we fell out of our chairs laughing. Yeah. But no, 0 thumbs from me. This is an absolute waste of time. I haven't been this bored by a mainstream studio horror film since The Rings reboot in 2017.
So, this week, on the big screen, you're quite limited, if you trust our opinion, of what is good at the cinema. That's a shame, but there's obviously stuff that's still playing out from previous weeks. But we've also got in our next segment coming up very shortly all the things that you can watch on the telly box at home, which hopefully, Van, is a little bit better.